My son tricked me into signing away my house, told me it was tax paperwork. 2 weeks later, he showed up with a sheriff and an eviction notice, said the house was his now, legally his. I had 30 days to get out. This happened on a Tuesday morning. I was 73 years old. I'd lived in that house for 37 years, paid it off with my factory wages over 3 decades. My husband Lenny and I built our life there, raised Raymond there, and my son took it from me with a lie and a signature I didn't understand. A lot of you might have heard about stories like this. Gift deed fraud. It's been discussed in elder law circles, shared in legal aid groups, talked about on podcasts about family betrayal and financial abuse. It's more common than people think. Hit that subscribe button. I want to know where you're watching from, especially if you've ever trusted the wrong person. If you've ever signed something you didn't fully understand, if you've ever watched someone you raised turn into someone you don't recognize. This is how a retired factory worker lost her home to her own son, and how she spent 14 months fighting to get it back. Let me back up, give you the whole picture. I'm Doris Franklin, 73 years old, worked at Peachtree Textile Factory in Atlanta for 41 years. Started in 1970 at $2.85 an hour, running industrial sewing machines. Retired in 2011 with a small pension of $1,240 monthly. My husband Lenny worked at the same factory. Machine maintenance. We met on the factory floor in 1972. Married in 1974. Had Raymond in 1984. Lenny died 5 years ago. Lung cancer. All those years breathing in textile dust and cigarette smoke finally caught up with him. He was 68. We'd just started enjoying retirement. Had plans to visit our cousins in South Carolina. Never made it. He went from diagnosis to gone in 7 months. The house we lived in, we bought it together in 1987. Small 3-bedroom ranch in southwest Atlanta, $47,000 back then. We scraped together the down payment, $5,000. Took us 3 years to save it. The mortgage was $380 a month for 30 years. We paid it off in 2017, 3 years before Lenny died. I remember the day we made that final payment. Lenny cooked dinner, fried chicken, collard greens, cornbread. We sat at our kitchen table and he said, "Baby, this house is ours now. Nobody can take it from us. When I'm gone, it's yours. You'll always have a home." He was wrong. Somebody could take it. Our son could. Raymond had always been difficult. Not bad exactly, just never quite found his footing. Dropped out of Georgia State after 2 years, worked retail jobs, warehouse jobs, never stayed anywhere long. Always had an excuse. The manager was unfair, the hours were bad, the pay wasn't enough. He met Crystal when he was 32. She worked at the same retail store. They got married fast, too fast, had a daughter, Shanice, a year later. Crystal never liked me. I could tell from the beginning. The way she looked at my house, the way she talked about upgrading, the way she suggested Raymond and I weren't close enough, that I didn't help them enough financially. But Lenny and I had helped. We'd given them $8,000 for their wedding. Let them live with us for 8 months when Raymond lost a job. Watched Shanice every weekend for 3 years while they worked. It was never enough for Crystal. After Lenny died, Raymond and Crystal wanted to move in with me, said they were having money troubles. Crystal had quit her retail job. Raymond had been unemployed for 4 months. They had credit card debt. Car payments. They needed help. I said yes, because Raymond was my son, because Shanice was my granddaughter, because the house was too big for just me anyway. They moved in November 2021. It was a disaster from the start. Crystal complained about everything. The house was too old, too small, not enough closet space. The neighborhood wasn't good enough for Shanice. She wanted me to pay for upgrades, new appliances, fresh paint, a renovated bathroom. I was living on $1,240 a month pension. I couldn't afford renovations. The complaints turned meaner. She'd say things in front of Shanice. Your grandma's house smells old, like old people and old things. We won't have to live in this dump forever. Eventually it'll be ours and we can fix it properly. Grandma doesn't understand how real estate works. This house could be worth $400,000 if someone who knew what they were doing owned it. Raymond never defended me, just sat there, silent, weak. I asked them to leave after 5 months. April 2022 told Raymond they needed to find their own place, that this arrangement wasn't working. Crystal was furious, screamed at me, said I was selfish, that family helps family, that I was choosing to be alone instead of helping my son when he needed me. They moved out angry. Barely spoke to me for 6 months. Then suddenly, January 2024, Raymond started calling again, being sweet, asking how I was doing, visiting on Sundays, bringing Shanice by. I was so happy, thought maybe he'd grown up, thought maybe we could repair our relationship. I should have known better. The 14th of February 2024. Valentine's Day. Raymond came by with flowers, carnations from Kroger, my favorite. We sat at the kitchen table. He asked about my health, about church, about Sister Helen, my friend from the congregation. He seemed genuinely interested, caring, like the boy I'd raised before Crystal got her claws in him. Then he pulled out papers. A folder. Official-looking documents. Mom, I need you to sign something for me. It's for my taxes. I'm claiming you as a dependent since I helped you out financially last year. Remember when I paid for your roof repair? I remembered. The roof had leaked. Raymond had sent me $800. I'd been grateful. Thought it was a gift. Didn't realize he was going to use it as leverage. I just need your signature here and here, he said, pointing to lines highlighted in yellow. It's just paperwork. Formality. Helps me get a bigger tax refund. Helps me provide better for Shanice. I looked at the papers. They had legal words I didn't understand. Grantor, grantee, conveyance, property description. My address was on there. But Raymond said it was for taxes, and I trusted him. He was my son. Why would he lie to me? Do I need to read all of this? I asked. Mom, it's just standard tax forms. You know how complicated the IRS makes everything. I already went over it with a tax professional. You just need to sign. There was a notary there too, a woman, Linda Chen. She'd been waiting in Raymond's car. He called her in, after I agreed to sign. She asked if I understood what I was signing. I said yes, because Raymond told me it was tax papers. She watched me sign. Stamped the documents, took her fee, left. The whole thing took maybe 10 minutes. Raymond hugged me when it was done. Thanks, Mom. This really helps us out. Love you. He took the papers and left, took the flowers with him too. Said Crystal would enjoy them. I didn't think about it again. Just went back to my normal life. Church on Sundays, grocery shopping on Wednesdays, watching my stories in the evening, talking to Sister Helen on the phone. Missing Lenny, living quiet. 2 weeks later, the 28th of February, 2024, 9:30 a.m., there was a knock on my door. Heavy, official. I opened it. A sheriff's deputy stood there. Tall, black man, maybe 45. He looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, are you Doris Franklin? Yes, that's me. I'm Deputy Thompson. I'm here to serve you with an eviction notice. He handed me papers. Official documents. Legal letterhead. Eviction? There must be a mistake. This is my house. I own it. Paid it off years ago. Ma'am, according to these documents, the property was transferred to Raymond Franklin via gift deed on the 14th of February 2024. He's the legal owner now. He's filed for eviction. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. My legs went weak. I grabbed the door frame. That can't be right. I didn't transfer anything. Raymond came by for tax papers. That's all. Deputy Thompson's face softened. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I just enforced the orders. You'll need to speak with an attorney. But the deed transfer is recorded with the county. It's legal. He left. I stood there holding papers I couldn't fully read through my tears. My hands were shaking so hard the pages rattled. I called Raymond. He answered on the fourth ring. Raymond, a sheriff just came to my house. Said you're evicting me. Said I signed the house over to you. Baby, what's going on? There's been some mistake. It's not a mistake, Mama. His voice was cold. Flat. Nothing like the sweet tone from 2 weeks ago. You signed a gift deed. The house is mine now. Legally mine. I need you to move out. What? No, you said those were tax papers. You lied to me. I didn't lie. I said I needed you to sign papers. You signed them. That's on you for not reading what you signed. Raymond, this is my home. Lenny and I built this life here. We raised you here. You can't take it from me. I already did. It's done. County has the deed recorded. You have 30 days. I suggest you start packing. Where am I supposed to go? I'm 73 years old. I can't afford rent. My pension is $1,240 a month. That's not my problem. You should have thought about that before you got old and useless. Crystal's voice in the background. Loud enough for me to hear. Tell her we're moving in next week. Tell her to hurry up. Raymond, please. Don't do this. I'm your mother. And this is my house now. Business is business. Nothing personal. He hung up. I sat on my floor. In the house Lenny and I had sacrificed for. The house we'd made a home. And I cried. Cried until my chest hurt. Cried until Sister Helen came by and found me there. Sister Helen is 68. Been my friend for 22 years. Met at Greater Hope Baptist Church. She took one look at me and knew something terrible had happened. Doris, baby, what's wrong? I showed her the eviction notice. Told her everything. She sat on the floor with me. Held my hand. Let me cry. Then she got angry. Righteous angry. The kind of angry that makes church ladies dangerous. That boy is going to hell, she said, stealing from his own mother, lying to you. Lord have mercy, Doris. We need to call a lawyer, right now. She pulled out her phone. Called Pastor Robert Green. Explained the situation. Pastor Green knew an attorney. James Mitchell. Elder law specialist. He'd helped other church members with family legal issues. Pastor Green called him. Set up an emergency meeting for the next day. That night I couldn't sleep. Walked through my house touching things. Lenny's recliner. Still had the impression of his body in the cushions. The kitchen table where we'd eaten thousands of meals. The bedroom where we'd slept together for 32 years. The walls with photos of Raymond growing up. Baby pictures, school pictures, his high school graduation, him holding infant Shanice. I'd raised a monster. Somehow, somewhere, I'd failed, or Crystal had corrupted him. Or maybe he'd always been capable of this, and I'd been too blind to see it. Day 3 after the eviction notice, the 2nd of March 2024, I met with attorney James Mitchell. He was 55, experienced, kind eyes. His office was small, modest. Not one of those big corporate firms. He worked primarily with elderly clients. He'd seen cases like mine before. Mrs. Franklin, I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to be very difficult. Gift deeds are legal instruments. If you signed it, and it was notarized, and it's been recorded with the county, it's valid. The only way to overturn it is to prove fraud, undue influence, or that you lacked mental capacity when you signed. He lied to me. Told me it was tax papers. That could be fraud. But we'd need to prove it. Prove that he intentionally deceived you. That you wouldn't have signed if you'd known what it really was. We'd need witnesses, evidence. And even then, these cases take time. Months, sometimes over a year. How much time do I have before I have to leave? The eviction notice gives you 30 days, but I can file a motion to stay the eviction while we pursue the fraud case. That might buy us a few more months. But Mrs. Franklin, you need to understand. This is going to cost money. Legal fees, court costs, filing fees. We're looking at potentially $25,000 to $30,000 to fight this properly. My pension was $1,240 a month. I had maybe $8,000 in savings. Total, life savings. I don't have that kind of money. I know. I can work with you, take payments, and the church might be able to help. Pastor Green mentioned setting up a legal fund, but I need you to understand what we're up against. Your son has the law on his side right now. The deed is legal until we can prove it shouldn't be. That's an uphill battle. What happens if I lose? Then you lose your house. And you're still responsible for whatever legal fees we've accrued. Mrs. Franklin, I want to help you, but I want you to go into this with your eyes open. This is going to be painful, expensive, and there's no guarantee we win. I thought about Lenny, about his ashes sitting on the mantel in an urn I'd paid $400 for because I wanted something nice for him, about the house he'd promised would always be mine, about Raymond's baby shoes in a box in the closet, about 37 years of memories in those walls. I want to fight, I said. I don't care how long it takes. This is my home, Lenny's home. I'm not giving it to Raymond without a fight. James Mitchell nodded. Then we fight. I'll file the motion to stay the eviction today. We'll argue fraud and undue influence. I'll need you to write down everything you remember about that day. What Raymond said, how he presented the papers, the exact words he used, everything. I spent that evening writing, page after page. Every detail I could remember. The flowers, the way Raymond had been so sweet for weeks before, the tax refund story, how he'd rushed me through the signing, how the notary had asked if I understood but Raymond answered for me. Day 5. The 4th of March 2024. Raymond called. Mom, I need you to start moving your stuff out. Crystal and I are moving in on March 15. That's 11 days. You need to be gone by then. Raymond, I talked to a lawyer. I'm fighting this. You lied to me, tricked me into signing that deed. It's fraud. He laughed. Actually laughed. Good luck with that. You signed it. It's notarized. It's recorded. It's legal. No judge is going to overturn a legal deed just because you regret signing it. I didn't know what I was signing. You told me it was tax papers. Prove it. It's your word against mine. And I've got a legal document with your signature on it. You've got nothing but excuses. The notary was there. She heard you. She can testify. The notary asked if you understood what you were signing. You said yes. That's in her records. She's not going to help you. Face it, Mom. You lost. The house is mine. Accept it and move on. I'll never accept it. This was Lenny's house. Our house. You have no right. I have every right. It's mine now. And if you're not out by March 15, I'm having the sheriff physically remove you. Your choice. Leave with dignity or leave in handcuffs. He hung up. My hands were shaking with rage, with helplessness, with the realization that my son, the baby I'd carried and birthed and raised, had become capable of such cruelty. Day 8. The 7th of March 2024. James Mitchell called. Good news. The judge granted a temporary stay on the eviction. You can remain in the house while we build our case. We have a preliminary hearing scheduled for April 22. That gives us 6 weeks to gather evidence. Relief flooded through me. At least I had time. At least I wasn't being thrown out immediately. Day 10. The 9th of March 2024. Raymond showed up at my door. No warning. He had a key, my key. The spare I'd given him years ago for emergencies. He'd made copies. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "This is my house. I can come whenever I want. I'm inspecting my property, making sure you're not damaging anything." He walked through the rooms, taking photos with his phone, opening closets, looking in drawers. Crystal was with him, smirking, touching my things. "We're going to gut this kitchen," she said. "Outdated, tacky. We'll do white cabinets, marble countertops. Really bring this place into the 21st century." "You can't remodel," I said. "The judge said I can stay while the case is pending." "We're not remodeling yet," Raymond said. "Just planning. Getting estimates. This is our house. We can plan whatever we want." They stayed for an hour, walking through like I wasn't there, like I was already gone. Crystal took measurements. Raymond made notes. They talked about knocking down walls, replacing floors, painting over the wallpaper Lenny and I had chosen together in 1992. When they finally left, I locked the door behind them. Then I realized the lock didn't matter. They had keys. They could come back any time. I called a locksmith that afternoon, had all the locks changed, $340. Money I couldn't really afford. But I needed to feel safe in my own home. Day 12, the 11th of March 2024. Raymond called again. "Did you change the locks?" "Yes." "That's illegal. This is my property. You can't change locks on property you don't own." "The judge said I can stay here. That means I can secure the premises." "We'll see what the judge says about that. You're in violation of the eviction stay terms. I'm filing a motion." "File whatever you want. You're not coming into my house whenever you feel like it." "It's not your house anymore. When are you going to get that through your thick skull? The sooner you accept reality, the easier this will be." But reality was impossible to accept. That my son had become this person. That he could look me in the eye and show no remorse, no guilt, no love, just cold calculation and entitlement. Day 15. The 14th of March 2024. The day before Raymond said he was moving in whether I was gone or not. I woke up at 6 a.m. to noise outside, looked out the window. Raymond's pickup truck in the driveway. He was unloading furniture. Crystal was directing him. They were moving in. While I was still there, I opened the front door. "What are you doing?" "Moving in," Crystal said, not even looking at me. "This is our house. You can stay in your bedroom if you want, but the rest of the house is ours now." "You can't do this." The judge said I have the right to remain here during the case. The judge said we can't force you out. Didn't say we couldn't move in. There's 3 bedrooms. You can have one. We'll take the other 2. They carried furniture inside. A new couch. A new dining table. Crystal's clothes. Raymond's things. Shanice's belongings. They took over the living room, the kitchen, the second bathroom, left me with just my bedroom and the hall bathroom. I called James Mitchell. Emergency. He said this was harassment but technically legal. Raymond owned the house. He had the right to occupy it. The stay only prevented him from forcibly removing me. It didn't prevent him from moving in. "Can I get a restraining order?" I asked. "Based on what?" "He owns the property. He's not threatening you. He's just occupying his own house. I know it's awful, Doris, but we don't have grounds for a restraining order." So I was trapped. Living in my own home with my son and his wife, people who wanted me gone, who made it clear every day that I was unwelcome, that I was in their way. Crystal cooked in my kitchen, used my dishes, threw away my food to make room for hers. "This milk is expired," she'd say, pouring out milk that was fine. "This bread is stale." Perfectly good bread in the trash. She was erasing me, piece by piece. Raymond pretended I didn't exist, walked past me without speaking, watched TV in the living room at volumes too loud. Had friends over who looked at me like I was a crazy old lady squatting in someone else's house. Shanice was the only one who still talked to me. She'd sneak into my bedroom. "Grandma, I don't understand. Why are you and Daddy fighting?" "Baby, it's complicated. Adult stuff. But I want you to know, none of this is your fault. And I love you no matter what." "I love you too, Grandma. I miss how things used to be. When you'd make me cookies and we'd watch movies together. I miss that too, sweetheart." Living in that house with Raymond and Crystal was torture. They made sure I knew I wasn't wanted. Crystal would blast music at 7 a.m. knowing I was still sleeping. Would cook meals that smelled delicious and not offer me any. Would have loud conversations with Raymond about their plans for my house, for my rooms, for my things. "Once she's finally gone, we're turning her bedroom into a home office," Crystal said one morning, loud enough for me to hear through the door. "Get rid of all that old furniture. That bed probably has bed bugs. The whole room needs to be fumigated." My bed, the bed Lenny and I had slept in for 25 years, the bed where he'd held me after we lost our second baby to miscarriage, where we'd celebrated anniversaries, where I'd cried myself to sleep for months after he died. Bed bugs. She called it bed bugs. Day 22. The 21st of March 2024. I came home from church to find my bedroom door open. I always locked it when I left. Had to. Couldn't trust them not to go through my things. But the lock had been removed. Completely removed. Just a hole where the lock mechanism used to be. Inside, boxes. They'd been packing my belongings, my clothes folded into boxes, my photos taken off the walls, Lenny's ashes, the urn. They'd moved it. Put it in a box with kitchen towels like it was nothing. Like he was nothing. I found Raymond in the kitchen. "You went into my room. You packed my things. You touched Lenny's ashes. We're helping you get ready to move. You're going to have to leave eventually. Might as well start preparing. You had no right. Those are my personal belongings. Lenny's ashes are sacred. How dare you put your hands on them?" Crystal appeared in the doorway. "Sacred? It's a jar of dust. Get over it. Dead people don't care what happens to their ashes." I slapped her. Didn't plan to. Didn't think about it. My hand just moved, connected with her cheek. Hard enough to leave a mark. She screamed. She hit me. "Raymond, your crazy mother just assaulted me. I'm calling the police." "Don't," Raymond said. But he was looking at me different now. Angry. Really angry. "Mom, you can't put your hands on people. That was assault. She disrespected your father. She called him dust. Jar of dust. How can you stand there and let her talk about Lenny like that? Dad's dead. Been dead 5 years. Crystal's right. They're just ashes. You need to let go. Get out of my room. Both of you. Get out." "It's not your room anymore," Crystal said, holding her cheek. Red mark forming. "And you just assaulted me. I could press charges. Have you arrested. Thrown in jail. But I'm going to be generous. I won't call the police if you apologize. I'll never apologize to you. Then maybe you should leave. Find somewhere else to stay. Before this gets worse." I called Sister Helen. Crying, told her everything. She came to get me within the hour. "Pack what you need. You're staying with me until the hearing. You can't live like this." I packed a suitcase, clothes, toiletries, Lenny's urn. I held it close, whispered to him. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry they treated you like that. I'm fighting for us. I promise I'm fighting." Sister Helen's apartment was small. 1 bedroom. She gave me her bed, slept on the couch herself. "It's temporary," she said. "Until the judge fixes this mess. Until you get your house back." But what if I didn't get it back? What if the judge said the deed was legal? That I'd signed it and that was that? Where would I go? What would I do? Day 30. The 29th of March, 2024. James Mitchell called. "We have a problem. Raymond's attorney filed a motion claiming you abandoned the property, that you voluntarily left. That weakens our case significantly. I didn't abandon it. They made it impossible to stay. They harassed me, invaded my privacy. Crystal disrespected Lenny's ashes. I believe you. But we need to prove it. Do you have evidence? Photos? Recordings? Witnesses?" Sister Helen saw how upset I was. Pastor Green knows. Mrs. Rodriguez next door, she saw them moving furniture in while I was still living there. "Good. We'll depose all of them, build a harassment case, show the judge you were constructively evicted, that you didn't leave voluntarily." The preliminary hearing was the 22nd of April 2024. I wore my best dress, the black one I'd worn to Lenny's funeral. It seemed appropriate. I was mourning the son I thought I had, mourning the relationship that died the day he tricked me into signing those papers. The courtroom was small. Judge Patricia Williams presiding. She was 58. Black woman. Sharp eyes. She'd seen a lot in her years on the bench. I hoped she'd see through Raymond's lies. Raymond sat on the other side with his attorney. Expensive suit. Young. Probably fresh out of law school and hungry. Crystal sat behind them, smirking. Like this was entertainment. James Mitchell presented our case. Explained how Raymond had deceived me. How he'd claimed the papers were for taxes. How he'd rushed me through signing. How the notary had barely explained anything. How I was 73 years old and had never dealt with legal documents before. How I'd trusted my son. How that trust had been weaponized against me. Raymond's attorney argued that I'd signed the deed willingly, that the notary had asked if I understood, that I'd said yes, that I'd had ample opportunity to read the documents, that gift deeds are common estate planning tools, that there was no evidence of fraud, just an elderly woman who regretted a decision she'd made. Judge Williams asked Raymond directly, "Mr. Franklin, what did you tell your mother when you asked her to sign these documents?" "I told her I needed her signature for paperwork. That's it." "Did you tell her she was signing over the deed to her house?" The document was clear. It said gift deed right at the top. If she didn't read it, that's not my fault. "Did you explain what a gift deed was?" Raymond hesitated. "I assumed she knew." "You assumed your 73-year-old mother, who worked in a factory her entire life, who had no legal training, understood complex real estate terminology?" "Your Honor, the document was notarized. The notary verified she understood what she was signing." Judge Williams turned to me. "Mrs. Franklin, did you understand you were giving your house to your son when you signed those papers?" "No, Your Honor. I thought I was helping him with his taxes. He'd been so sweet to me for weeks before, visiting, bringing my granddaughter. I thought we were rebuilding our relationship. I never imagined he was setting me up to steal my home." The judge made notes. "I'm ordering a full trial. This needs a complete evidentiary hearing, discovery, depositions, expert testimony if necessary. Trial date is set for the 7th of October 2024. In the meantime, the eviction stay remains in place. Mrs. Franklin, you have the right to return to the property." "Your Honor, I can't," I said. "My son and his wife are living there. They've made it clear I'm not welcome." "Then they need to leave. Mr. Franklin, until this matter is resolved, you and your family need to vacate the property." "Mrs. Franklin is the plaintiff in this action and has the right to possess the property pending trial." Raymond's face went red. His attorney whispered urgently in his ear. "Your Honor," Raymond's attorney stood up quickly. "My client is the legal owner of record. The deed has been properly recorded with the county. Forcing him out of his own property while we litigate a frivolous claim is unfair and prejudicial. Counselor, your client moved into the property knowing full well there was an active legal dispute. That was his choice. He created this situation. Mrs. Franklin has a colorable claim of fraud. Until this court determines the validity of that deed, she has priority of possession as the prior owner and current plaintiff. Mr. Franklin has 14 days to vacate. Raymond stood up. This is ridiculous. That's my house. I'm not leaving. Judge Williams's expression hardened. Mr. Franklin, you will sit down and you will not speak unless addressed directly. One more outburst, and I'll hold you in contempt. Do you understand? Raymond Saturday. But his eyes burned with rage. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I moved back into my house on the 6th of May 2024. Raymond and Crystal had 14 days to get out. They used every single one, and they made sure to leave their mark. When I walked in that first day after they left, I couldn't breathe. The house was destroyed. Not just messy, destroyed, deliberately. The walls, they'd painted over everything. Covered the soft yellow Lenny and I had chosen with flat black paint. Harsh. Ugly. They'd painted over the wallpaper in the dining room. The floral pattern Lenny had surprised me with for our 15th anniversary, just covered it with thick black paint that was already bubbling and peeling. The kitchen. Cabinet doors ripped off, not removed carefully, ripped. Hinges torn from the wood leaving splintered holes. The countertops scratched. Deep gouges like someone had taken a knife and carved into them. The sink clogged. When I called a plumber, he pulled out concrete mix. They'd poured concrete down my drains. The carpets, stained, bleach stains, burn marks. In one corner of the living room, someone had carved words into the hardwood underneath. Old bitch got what she deserved. My bedroom, the bed Lenny and I had shared. Mattress slashed, springs exposed, dresser drawers broken, my clothes that I'd left behind, the ones that didn't fit in my suitcase, cut up. Scissors taken to every piece. Dresses, pants, blouses, all destroyed. The bathroom. Mirror shattered. Toilet cracked. They'd hit it with something heavy. Water damage on the floor from what looked like intentional flooding. But the worst, the absolute worst, was the mantel, where Lenny's urn had sat for 5 years. The wooden mantel Lenny had built himself in 1995, carved with our initials, LW, and DF surrounded by a heart. He'd spent weeks on it, sanding, staining, sealing, made it perfect. They'd taken a sledgehammer to it, smashed it to pieces. The wood splintered and broken, our initials destroyed, and written on the wall above in black spray paint, dead and forgotten. I collapsed, right there in the living room, surrounded by destruction, by hatred, by my son's cruelty made visible. Sister Helen found me there an hour later. She'd come to help me move back in, found me on the floor sobbing. She called Pastor Green, called James Mitchell, called the police. The police came, took photos, wrote a report, said it was vandalism, malicious destruction of property, asked if I wanted to press charges against Raymond. Will it help my case? I asked James Mitchell. It shows his character, shows malice, but pressing criminal charges could complicate the civil case, could look like retaliation. I'd recommend documenting everything but holding off on criminal charges until after the trial. So I documented. Took hundreds of photos. Every destroyed room. Every slashed piece of furniture. Every hateful word carved or painted. Evidence of what my son had become. The repairs. Insurance wouldn't cover it. It was intentional damage by a family member, not covered under my homeowner's policy. I got estimates. $47,000 to fix everything properly. Paint. Floors. Kitchen cabinets. Plumbing. The mantel couldn't be repaired. Lenny's work was gone forever. I had $8,000 in savings. The legal fees were already eating into that. I couldn't afford repairs, so I lived in the destruction, covered the broken mirror with a towel, used the kitchen sink even though it drained slow, slept on the slashed mattress until Sister Helen brought me an air mattress from Walmart. Every day in that house was a reminder of what Raymond had done, not just the deed fraud, but this deliberate destruction of everything Lenny and I had built. This hatred made physical. June 2024. Discovery phase. Depositions. James Mitchell deposed the notary, Linda Chen. She testified that Raymond had been rushed, that he'd answered questions for me, that she'd felt uncomfortable but the document appeared legitimate and I'd signed willingly when asked. Did Mrs. Franklin seem to understand she was signing away her house? James asked. No. She seemed confused, kept asking if it was for taxes. Mr. Franklin kept reassuring her it was just paperwork. I should have stopped the process, explained the document more clearly. I didn't. That's on me. I just wanted to collect my fee and leave. Good testimony. Helpful. But would it be enough? We deposed Mrs. Rodriguez, my neighbor. She testified about seeing Raymond and Crystal move furniture in while I was still living there, about hearing arguments, about the day she saw them loading my belongings into boxes and throwing some in the dumpster. What kinds of things were they throwing away? James asked. Photo albums, clothes, kitchen items. I saw them throw away what looked like an old quilt. Mrs. Franklin ran out crying, tried to pull things out of the dumpster. They laughed at her. I'll never forget that. They laughed while she cried. The quilt. My grandmother's quilt. Made in 1952, been in my family for 72 years. I'd forgotten about it in the chaos of everything else. It was gone, thrown away like garbage. July 2024. Raymond was deposed. James Mitchell asked him directly about the day I signed the deed. What did you tell your mother about the document she was signing? I told her I needed her signature. Did you tell her it was a gift deed? The document said that at the top. Mr. Franklin, answer the question. Did you verbally tell your mother she was signing a gift deed transferring ownership of her house to you? I don't recall my exact words. Did you use the words tax papers or tax refund? I might have mentioned taxes. I don't remember. Why did you need your mother to sign over her house to you? I didn't need her to, she offered. She offered to give you her house? She said she wanted to make sure I'd be taken care of, that the house would be mine eventually anyway. She was doing estate planning. Lies, blatant lies, but he said them so smoothly, so confidently, like he believed them himself. Mr. Franklin, why did you move into the property while your mother was still living there? It was my house. I had the right. Did you consider how that might make your mother feel? My mother's feelings aren't relevant to property rights. Did you destroy property in the house before you vacated? No. The house was in the same condition when I left as when I arrived. So you're saying you didn't paint the walls black? Didn't damage the kitchen cabinets? Didn't pour concrete down the drains? Didn't destroy your mother's belongings? The house needed updates. We made some changes. That's normal when you take ownership of a property. We have photos, Mr. Franklin. Photos of spray-painted hate messages, of deliberately destroyed furniture, of your mother's clothes cut to pieces. I don't know anything about that. Maybe she did it herself, for sympathy, to make me look bad. James Mitchell stared at him. You're suggesting your 73-year-old mother destroyed her own home, her late husband's belongings, her own possessions, just to make you look bad in a lawsuit? People do crazy things when they're bitter about losing. I watched this deposition on video later. James showed it to me to prepare me for trial. Watching Raymond lie so easily, so completely, no shame, no remorse, no recognition that he was talking about his mother. I didn't recognize him. This wasn't the boy I'd raised. This was a stranger wearing my son's face. August 2024. Crystal was deposed. She was worse than Raymond. At least he pretended to be reasonable. Crystal didn't bother. Why did you move into the house while Mrs. Franklin was still living there? It was our house. She was trespassing. The judge had granted her the right to remain during litigation. The judge was wrong. Old people get all the sympathy. Nobody cares that we had a right to our own property. Did you make any statements about Mrs. Franklin's belongings? Specifically about her late husband's ashes? Crystal shrugged. I might have said something. She was being dramatic about a jar. It's not like he's coming back. You referred to the ashes as a jar of dust? That's what it is. Cremated remains. Dust. People act like urns are sacred. They're not. It's just dead people's leftovers. Even Raymond's attorney looked uncomfortable. This testimony was damaging. Showed callousness, cruelty, lack of respect for the dead, for family, for basic human decency. Did you participate in painting the house before you left? We made improvements. Fresh paint. Modern colors. Black spray paint with hate messages as improvements? I don't know what you're talking about. We have photos, Mrs. Franklin, dated and time-stamped. Messages like, old bitch got what she deserved. Did you write that? No. Probably neighborhood kids. That area has a crime problem. Doris should have moved to a better neighborhood years ago. September 2024. 1 month before trial. The legal fees had climbed to $23,000. The church had raised $12,000 through fundraisers, bake sales, fish fries, donation drives. Sister Helen had organized all of it. Pastor Green had preached about justice and standing up for the vulnerable. The congregation had rallied. But I still owed $11,000. James Mitchell had been patient, taking payments, but he needed to be paid. He had his own bills, his own family. I took out a loan against my pension. $15,000. The interest rate was terrible. 18%. But I had no choice. I needed to fight. Needed to finish this. Sister Helen tried to talk me out of it. Doris, what if you lose? You'll be in debt for years. Maybe you should consider settling. Settling means Raymond keeps the house. Means he gets away with what he did. Means Lenny's memory gets erased. I can't do that. I won't. But baby, you're 73 years old. You don't have years to pay back loans. What about your future? What future do I have without my home, without justice for what Raymond did? I'd rather be in debt with my dignity than comfortable knowing I let my son steal from me. El 7 de octubre de 2024. Trial day. I hadn't slept the night before. Wore the same black dress from the preliminary hearing. Sister Helen drove me to the courthouse, held my hand in the parking lot. Whatever happens today, you fought, she said. You didn't roll over. You didn't let them win without a fight. Lenny would be proud of you. I hope so. I hope he knows I tried. The courtroom was more crowded this time. Church members came to support me. Mrs. Rodriguez. Other neighbors. People who'd known Lenny and me for decades. People who couldn't believe what Raymond had done. Raymond and Crystal sat with their attorney. Crystal wore a conservative dress, hair pulled back, trying to look respectable. Raymond in a suit, playing the part of the dutiful son. Shanice wasn't there. Raymond had left her with a babysitter. Probably didn't want her to hear what was about to be said about her father. Judge Williams entered. We all stood. She looked at both sides. This is a bench trial, no jury. I'll be making the determination based on the evidence and testimony presented. Let's proceed. James Mitchell called me to the stand first, asked me to tell my story. I did. Every detail. The flowers, the tax papers lie, the rushed signing, the eviction notice, the harassment, the destruction. Mrs. Franklin, why did you trust your son when he asked you to sign those papers? Because he's my son. Because I raised him to be honest. Because I never imagined he could lie to me like that. Because when you love someone, you want to believe the best about them, even when they don't deserve it. If you had known those papers were a gift deed transferring your house to Raymond, would you have signed them? Never. That house is all I have. It's Lenny's legacy. Our life together. I would never willingly give that away. Especially not to someone who would destroy it the way Raymond did. Raymond's attorney cross-examined me, tried to make me look confused, forgetful, tried to suggest I'd offered the house to Raymond as a gift, and now regretted it. Mrs. Franklin, isn't it true you've had memory problems? No, my memory is fine. But you forgot what you signed. I didn't forget. I was lied to. There's a difference. Isn't it true you wanted to help your son? That you felt guilty about asking him to move out? I felt guilty that I raised someone capable of doing this to me. That's the only guilt I have. The attorney tried to shake me, tried to make me seem vindictive, bitter, a mother who couldn't accept her son's independence. But I held firm, told the truth, let the judge see my pain, my betrayal, my broken heart. James called Linda Chen, the notary. She testified about Raymond rushing the process, about how I'd seemed confused but Raymond kept reassuring me, about how she should have stopped and explained more clearly but didn't. Do you believe Mrs. Franklin understood she was signing over her house? James asked. No. I don't think she had any idea, and I think Mr. Franklin knew that. I've thought about this transaction every day since I learned what happened. I should have done more. I failed Mrs. Franklin. I'm sorry. She was crying on the stand. Real tears. Real remorse. More remorse than Raymond had ever shown. Mrs. Rodriguez testified about what she'd witnessed, the moving in, the harassment, the day they threw my belongings in the dumpster. I've lived next to Doris and Lenny for 20 years. They were good people, good neighbors. What that boy did to his mother, it's not right, it's evil. Sister Helen testified about finding me on the floor after Raymond served the eviction, about how I'd lived with her because I couldn't stay in my own home, about the church fundraising because I couldn't afford legal fees, about a community rallying around someone who'd been betrayed by her own blood. Then Raymond took the stand. His attorney asked softball questions, painted him as a son trying to help his aging mother with estate planning, suggested I'd been willing to gift the house, but now regretted it because of our deteriorating relationship. James Mitchell's cross-examination was surgical. Mr. Franklin, how much money did you owe when you asked your mother to sign those papers? I don't see how that's relevant. Answer the question. How much debt did you have? Raymond's jaw tightened. Around $45,000. Credit cards, car loans, medical bills. And you were unemployed? Between jobs. For how long? 18 months. So you owed $45,000, had no income, and were facing potential bankruptcy, correct? I was having temporary financial difficulties. And your mother's house was worth $380,000, free and clear, no mortgage, I suppose? So getting that house would solve all your financial problems, wouldn't it? You could sell it. Pay off your debts. Start fresh. That wasn't my intention. What was your intention? To help my mother with estate planning. By having her sign papers you told her were for taxes? I don't recall saying that. The notary recalls it. Mrs. Franklin recalls it. But you don't recall it. Convenient. James pulled out photos. The destroyed house. Black walls. Broken cabinets. Spray-painted hate messages. Mr. Franklin, who did this to your mother's house? I don't know. Like my wife said, probably neighborhood vandals. These photos were taken the day after you vacated. The house was locked. You had the only keys. Who else could have accessed the property? I don't know. My mother had keys. Are you suggesting your mother destroyed her own home? I'm saying I didn't do it. Who else had access? Maybe she gave keys to someone. Maybe she wanted to make me look bad. Judge Williams interrupted. Mr. Franklin, I've heard enough. You can step down. Raymond's attorney called Crystal. That was a mistake. Crystal couldn't hide who she was, even in a courtroom, even trying to play the respectable daughter-in-law. Mrs. Franklin, why did you encourage your husband to obtain his mother's house? I didn't encourage anything. It was his decision. But you benefited from that decision. We're family. We should have inherited that house eventually anyway. Raymond's an only child. Doris was just being selfish, keeping it all to herself when she didn't need that much space. Did you make any statements about Mrs. Franklin's late husband's ashes? Crystal hesitated, knew this would look bad. I might have said something in the heat of the moment. She was being ridiculous about a container. You called cremated remains a jar of dust? It's not like he needs them. He's dead. I watched Judge Williams's face, saw her expression tighten, saw her write something down. Notes, observations. This wasn't going well for Raymond. Closing arguments. James Mitchell was passionate, talked about elder abuse, about sons who betray the mothers who raise them, about greed destroying families, about a 7-3-year-old woman who'd worked 41 years in a factory, paid off her house, buried her husband, and asked for nothing but to live in peace in the home she'd earned. Your Honor, this wasn't estate planning. This was theft, dressed up in legal language, notarized and recorded, but theft nonetheless. Raymond Franklin lied to his mother, manipulated her trust, stole her home, and when she fought back, he destroyed everything she loved. The law should not reward this behavior. The law should protect people like Doris Franklin from people like her son. Raymond's attorney argued that gift deeds are legal, that I'd signed willingly, that I had opportunities to read the document and chose not to, that now I regretted my decision and was trying to undo a legal transaction through sympathy and emotional manipulation. Your Honor, property law is clear. A properly executed deed transfers ownership, period. Mrs. Franklin's regret doesn't invalidate that transfer. Her son's financial situation doesn't invalidate it. Her emotional testimony doesn't invalidate it. The deed is legal and should stand. Judge Williams took a recess, said she needed time to review evidence and make her determination. We waited in the hallway. 2 hours. The longest 2 hours of my life. When we were called back in, Judge Williams had her decision written. She looked at Raymond first, long, hard look. Mr. Franklin, I've been a judge for 16 years. I've seen a lot of family disputes, a lot of ugly behavior between people who should love each other, but this case is one of the worst examples of elder exploitation I've encountered. Raymond's face went pale. The evidence is clear. You lied to your mother. You told her she was signing tax documents when she was actually signing a gift deed. You rushed the process. You prevented her from reading the documents carefully. You exploited her trust. That is textbook fraud. Retry QT. Furthermore, your behavior after obtaining the deed shows malice. You moved into the property while your mother was still living there. You harassed her. You and your wife made cruel statements about her late husband's remains, and when ordered to vacate, you destroyed the property. Deliberately. Maliciously. The photos speak for themselves. Judge Williams looked at the papers in front of her. The gift deed executed on the 14th of February 2024 is hereby declared null and void. It was obtained through fraud and undue influence. The property located at 4782 Pinewood Drive is restored to the sole ownership of Doris Franklin. Relief flooded through me. I grabbed Sister Helen's hand. She was crying. I was crying. We'd won. But Judge Williams wasn't finished. Mr. Franklin, you are ordered to pay restitution to your mother in the amount of $47,000 for property damage. You are also ordered to pay her legal fees in the amount of $28,000. Total judgment against you, $75,000. You have 90 days to begin payment arrangements, or Mrs. Franklin can pursue collection through wage garnishment or property liens. Raymond stood up. Your Honor, I don't have $75,000. I'm unemployed. I can't pay that. You should have thought about that before you destroyed your mother's home. If you can't pay, that's a consequence you'll have to live with. But the judgment stands. This isn't fair. That house should be mine. I'm her only son. I deserve it. You deserve nothing. You've shown yourself to be cruel, manipulative, and without remorse. Your mother owes you nothing. This court owes you nothing. Be grateful I'm not referring this case to the district attorney for criminal fraud charges. Raymond's attorney tried to calm him, pulled him back down into his seat. But Raymond was shaking with rage. Crystal was crying, angry tears, entitled tears. The tears of someone who thought they'd won and couldn't believe they'd lost. Judge Williams addressed me directly. Mrs. Franklin, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'm sorry your son put you through this. But your home is yours again, legally and completely. No one can take it from you. Thank you, Your Honor. One more thing. I'm issuing a restraining order. Raymond Franklin and Crystal Franklin are prohibited from contacting you or coming within 500 feet of your property for a period of 5 years. If they violate this order, they will be arrested. The gavel came down. Case closed. We'd won. Outside the courthouse, church members surrounded me, hugging me, crying with me, celebrating. Pastor Green said a prayer right there on the courthouse steps. Thanked God for justice. For judges who see truth. For communities that stand together. Sister Helen drove me home. To my house. My house again. Legally mine. I walked through the rooms, still destroyed, still broken. But mine. The $47,000 restitution would cover repairs. If Raymond ever paid it. James Mitchell said collection would be difficult. Raymond had no job, no assets. The judgment would sit uncollected for months, maybe years, maybe forever. But I didn't care about the money anymore. I cared about the house, about Lenny's memory being protected, about not letting Raymond win. November 2024. 1 month after trial. Raymond hadn't paid a dime of the judgment, hadn't contacted me. The restraining order kept him away. I'd heard through Sister Helen's network that he and Crystal had split up. She'd left him, took Shanice, moved back to her parents' house in Tennessee, blamed Raymond for everything, for the lawsuit, for losing, for the debt, for destroying their lives. Raymond was living in a studio apartment, working part-time at a warehouse, barely making rent, the $75,000 judgment hanging over him like a weight he'd never escape. Part of me felt vindicated. He'd tried to destroy me and destroyed himself instead. But part of me just felt sad. Sad for the son I'd lost. Sad for Shanice growing up knowing what her father did. Sad for the family that died the day Raymond brought those papers to my kitchen table. I started repairs with the $12,000 the church had raised. Couldn't do everything, but I fixed the plumbing, painted over the black walls. White this time. Clean. Fresh. Starting over. Replaced the slashed mattress. Fixed the broken mirror. The mantle. Lenny's carved mantle. That couldn't be fixed. The wood was destroyed. I thought about having someone build a new one, but it wouldn't be the same. Wouldn't have Lenny's hands in it, so I left the wall empty. A reminder, a scar. Some things once broken can't be made whole again. December 2024. I got a letter. Handwritten. Raymond's handwriting. The restraining order said no contact, but a letter wasn't technically contact if I chose to read it. I almost threw it away. Didn't want to hear his excuses, his justifications, but curiosity won. I opened it. Mom, I know you probably won't read this. I know I have no right to ask you to, but I need to say something. I need you to know that I understand now, what I did, what I became. Crystal's gone, took Shanice. I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to be with me either. I've had a lot of time to think. About Dad. About what he would think of me. About the man I was supposed to be and the man I became. You were right. He'd be ashamed. I'm ashamed. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught. Not sorry I lost. Sorry for what I did to you, for the pain I caused, for destroying the home you and Dad built, for disrespecting his memory, for becoming someone neither of you would recognize. I'm paying $200 a month toward the judgment. It'll take 31 years to pay off at that rate. I'll be 71. You'll be gone. But I'm paying it anyway. Because it's the right thing to do. Because maybe if I do one right thing, it'll start to balance out all the wrong things. I don't expect you to write back. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I read that letter 3 times, looked for manipulation, for excuses, for anything that felt like he was trying to get something from me. But I didn't find it. Just genuine remorse. Too late. But genuine. I didn't write back, didn't call. The restraining order was in place for 3 more years anyway, and honestly, I didn't know what I'd say. Sorry doesn't fix broken mantles, doesn't erase months of trauma, doesn't give back the relationship we lost. But I kept the letter, put it in a box with other important documents. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday the anger would fade enough to allow space for something else. But not yet. The wounds were still too fresh. January 2025. Present day. I'm sitting in my kitchen. Same kitchen where Raymond tricked me into signing those papers 11 months ago. The house is slowly being repaired. Not perfect. Not like it was, but livable. Mine. The legal fees are paid off. The $15,000 loan against my pension is being slowly repaid, $150 a month for the next 8 years. I'll be 81 when it's finally paid off, if I live that long. Money I'll never get back for a fight I shouldn't have had to wage. The $47,000 restitution? Raymond has paid $1,600 so far, 8 months of $200 payments. At this rate, he'll finish paying when he's 71, and I'm 104. I'll never see most of that money. The repairs will stay half-finished, the mantle will stay empty. Some damages are permanent. Sister Helen comes by most days, brings me groceries, sits with me, reminds me I'm not alone. Pastor Green and the church family check on me regularly. They saved me, not just financially, emotionally, spiritually. Showed me that when your blood family fails you, your chosen family can hold you up. Shanice called last week. First contact in 4 months. Crystal had finally told her the whole story. Everything. The lies, the fraud, the destruction. She's 12 now, old enough to understand, old enough to be horrified by what her father did. Grandma Doris, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Mom didn't tell me. She just said you and Daddy had a fight about the house. I didn't know he lied to you. I didn't know he hurt you. Baby, none of that is your fault. You hear me? You didn't do anything wrong. But he's my dad. And he did something really bad. Does that make me bad too? No, sweetheart. You are not your father's choices. You are your own person, with your own heart, your own character. You get to decide who you become. And from what I can tell, you're already a better person than he is. She cried, asked if she could visit sometime. I said yes, when she's older, when she can come on her own, when the restraining order expires, we'd have dinner. I'd tell her about Lenny, about the man her grandfather was, about the kind of people her grandparents tried to be. Give her a foundation that Raymond never gave her. The house still feels empty sometimes. Lenny's been gone 5 years, Raymond's been gone 11 months. Different kinds of loss. One I chose, one that was chosen for me, but both leave holes. I walk through the rooms and remember. Lenny building the mantle. Raymond learning to ride a bike in the driveway. Christmas mornings. Birthday parties. Family dinners. A lifetime of memories in these walls. Some destroyed, some preserved, all bittersweet now. Mrs. Rodriguez came by yesterday, brought me soup, sat at my kitchen table. Doris, I've been thinking about what Raymond did, about the trial, about everything. And I want you to know something. You won, not just in court, but in life. You didn't let him break you. You fought. You survived. That's winning. Doesn't feel like winning. Feels like I lost my son. You didn't lose him, honey. He lost himself. And he lost you. That's on him, not you. You did everything right, raised him with love, gave him everything. He chose to throw it away. That's his failure, not yours. Maybe she's right. Maybe I did win, got my house back, got justice, got to keep my dignity. But the cost was so high, $28,000 in legal fees I'll never recover. A relationship with my son that's permanently broken, trust in family that's shattered, the peace I had before the 14th of February 2024, gone. Would I do it again? Fight the same fight? Spend the same money? Go through the same pain? Yes, because the alternative was letting Raymond steal from me and get away with it. Was showing Shanice that you can betray family without consequences. Was letting Lenny's memory be erased from the home we built together. Some fights you have to take, even when you know they'll cost you everything, even when winning means losing in other ways, because dignity matters, justice matters, standing up for yourself matters. Raymond sent another letter last week, mentioned he's in therapy now, court mandated for some probation violation, says the therapist is making him confront what he did, making him understand the harm. He's starting to see me as a person instead of an obstacle, starting to understand what he destroyed. Too late for us, but maybe not too late for him. Maybe he'll become someone different, someone Lenny would recognize, someone Shanice can be proud of. I hope so, not for my sake, for his. Because living with what he did, with who he became, that's a prison worse than any court could impose. That is Doris's story. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this from? What city? What country? Drop it in the comments below. I love seeing our global community come together over these powerful stories about trust betrayed, families destroyed by greed, and the fight for justice, even when the cost is devastating. Real question. If you were Doris, what would you have done? Would you have signed those papers trusting your son? Would you have fought back immediately or tried to negotiate? Would you have spent $28,000 and 14 months fighting for your home, knowing you might lose? Or would you have walked away to avoid the pain and the debt? Tell me in the comments. Hit that like button if this story made you feel something. Share it if you know someone who's been exploited by family. Someone who trusted the wrong person. Someone who had to choose between fighting for what's right and accepting an unbearable wrong just to keep the peace. And subscribe for more real stories about elder exploitation. What happens when children betray the parents who raised them? The cost of justice when the legal system is the only protection you have. And whether winning in court means anything when you've lost your family. Because Doris got her house back. But she's still figuring out if justice was worth the price. See you in the next video.